cricketing journey, I always had belief in myself and my ability that whatever thrown at me, I will conquer that and I'll get my team a win. That was my mental approach, even though I was playing tennis ball cricket or first class cricket. That was the belief I always had in me. Obviously, there were ups and downs throughout my first class career where I have to think I doubted myself. But then, after every doubt, I again kept telling myself that yes, I'm good enough and I worked hard enough to be in this position. And from here on, if I have to achieve anything in life, like playing for India, I have to be good than the rest of them. So that is how I've always told myself, and that is how I have grown my mental toughness. Of fitness and nutrition I got to know after my surgery, which happened in 2018, left hamstring. That is where I had to make a call that if I have to be the best in India at my number, I have to be very fit and to be able to deliver results for Indian team. And that is where I think I have followed rigorous diet and started working out daily without any excuse. And I think it's 4 months post surgery where I went on to play the Asia Cup in 2018 Dubai. That is where when I started playing and I realized how fast I was moving, how agile I was, how powerful I was feeling just after 3.5 months of rehab and diet which I have followed. That is where I realized the importance of fitness and nutrition in my life, and hence that I've never left fitness and diet.
It's very commonly seen that players realizes the importance of fitness after they get injured. So when you're playing a match, you try to give your maximum output with your maximum intensity possible. And when your body is not ready for that impact, and if your muscles are not ready to take that impact, then the chances of injury are higher. During learning phase, the player usually gives more importance to skill, no doubt about it. But fitness is also a very important aspect of the game, so earlier you realize is going to be better.
Talking about the importance of training and nutrition, athletes start paying more attention to the program when their performance does not improve, or they are injured or have poor recovery or begin to fall sick. They try to follow other people's diets, not realizing that one size does not fit all. Diet is very important for recovery from an intense workout session. It should have all the necessary supplements and protein to prevent and help recovery from injuries, if any. The energy levels also during the match should be maintained. Hydration is also an important point. How much water, salts are needed should be planned properly. It also helps in maintaining immunity, as cricketers tend to have cold and cough often. It is best to take expert guidance before these problems start, because once the problems start, then lots of precious time is lost in recovery.
For me, at this age of my career, I will put it 35% fitness, 35% diet, and 30% of skill. Because throughout my life, I have done enough skills to survive throughout my career. Now it is up to me how I maintain my body and fitness. That will decide how long I will play. So I'll again clear once again that it depends on what level of cricket you are playing as per that, but definitely skills will be 50% and fitness and diet 50% for any cricketer.
For a cricketer, I will say fitness and skill both play equally important role. Your fitness is going to be analyzed on the basis of these 5 components: your strength, endurance, flexibility, agility, your body composition, that's your muscle and fat percentage in the body. So we have to analyze in which component we are lacking so that we can work on that. Say for example, if a fast bowler is expected to bowl 6 to 8 overs in one spell, and if he is not able to deliver that with the same intensity throughout, then the level of fitness is definitely lacking here. There are many tests available to measure each component of fitness. Now these tests are going to help you to know where you are lacking so that you can work on that. A player usually knows about his own strengths and weaknesses, but a physiotherapist or a trainer can guide you in detail to overcome those weaknesses. It's a known fact that with age, the level of fitness is going to drop. More importance has to be given to fitness with your increasing age.
Weightage to be given to fitness, diet and skill. Now they all go hand in hand and are equally important. We need to understand that one needs to be fit to play a sport, especially for professional athletes. Skill development requires a base of focus, endurance, strength and power. This depends on how the training program is planned. The diet plan should be matching the exercise program. Good nutrition helps you to keep up with that training in terms of progression and recovery, and finally that boosts your performance. A diet should be planned keeping in mind the daily training schedule, the ideal pre and post workout meals, bedtime and wake up time. And during the follow-ups, the dietitian can gauge if the quantities of each nutrient is sufficient and can make the adjustments accordingly.
Off season, I'll give more importance to fitness than skills, because you have enough time to recover and you don't have to play games. So during the off season, I will train hard on my body and my fitness, but same time I'll try to keep it my body and mind fresh so that I don't get bored of anything. So I'll keep changing on my fitness schedules. But during off the season, I will definitely, like I said, more towards fitness and less towards skill. But during the season, I will completely reverse the cycle. I'll put more focus on the skills and very maintenance kind of work on fitness. As far as recovery concerned, it will definitely fluctuate as per individual's body, but I think 80% is sleep. A good sleep of 8 to 9 hours is the best recovery I feel for my body, and most of the research says that. And after that, it is up to your diet and supplements, but I'll put it to this, that recovery is all about how good you sleep.
Now let's divide the whole year into off-season and season. Talking about off-season, this can be further divided as preparatory phase and a transition phase. Our focus during preparatory phase will be tackling fitness components. That's your strength, endurance, agility, flexibility, body composition. Now during strength training, one should ideally start with low intensity resistance training and then slowly progress it to high intensity. We cannot directly jump onto high intensity training. This method is called as progressive overload. Moving on to your endurance training. Here, the aim is to condition your heart and lung. Blood supply to whole body is done by your heart and lungs, and those organs should be trained to meet the demands of the body. Now, improvement in your aerobic capacity is seen over a long period of time, and that's the reason you should be equally giving importance to your endurance training. Usually, players prefer running as an activity for your aerobic training. But apart from running, swimming can be also considered as a useful exercise because it's a full body exercise and there is no weight bearing. So it's a non-weight bearing exercise. So overloading of the joints can be avoided here. Now talking about flexibility. This is one of the important aspects of fitness. This helps to prevent injuries. Lack of flexibility can lead to imbalances during force generation, and eventually it might lead to injuries. Flexibility can be improved by stretches. Very simple stretches can give you good results for your flexibility, which should be ideally done at the end of your training session. Now then comes your transition phase, which is about a week just before your season is going to start. Here you're going to drop your exercise intensity by 50%. So every body part gets enough time for recovery just before your matches are going to start. Now during season, your main focus is going to be maintenance of fitness. Now talking about your rest phase. When a cricketing season has just ended, a player can take a week or two complete rest. Now during matches, what happens? Your body goes through so much of wear and tear, and there are so many inflammatory changes seen in your body. Taking complete rest will keep these responses low, and there is going to be a faster recovery.
Nutrition during off, pre and post season. Let's talk about off and pre-season. Now the diet followed during this phase will bring about positive changes that will take you through the entire competition period, and that's why we call it the preparatory period. Now the goals are different for everyone. For example, you want to lose extra fat or work on your abnormal blood reports, or you have issues with energy levels and recovery, or say your goal is to improve your performance, maybe your endurance, strength and power, maybe all three. Let's look at some of the old concepts. Now, it is believed that carbohydrates are essential and can improve performance in high intensity and endurance sports. Carb loading has and is being used for endurance sports where actually fat is the main fuel. Now, the negative side effects of carb loading can be weight gain, insulin spikes and digestive disturbances. Another question people ask is about glycogen stores post-workout. Now, protein can be converted to glucose, and that can also help glycogen replenishment through a process called as gluconeogenesis. So there is no need to worry about your energy levels dropping on a low carb plan, especially if it is planned well. Now, the body uses more fat for energy when a high fat, low carbohydrate diet is consumed over a period of time along with the training going hand in hand. The macronutrients like carbs, proteins and fats, and micronutrients like minerals and vitamins, the amount, type and timing is different for everybody based on body composition, medical conditions, the exercise frequency and intensity and your fitness goals. Only during follow-ups we can gauge and adjust these quantities. The workouts are also customized based on your areas of improvement. So again, the diet has to be in sync with the workout. One cannot follow a short-term diet for an instant boost of energy. It is the diet plus the exercise followed over the entire preparatory period that leads to performance gains finally.
During off season, my training day would be early morning, either cardio or strength, around 7 to 8 for an hour. I'll do that. Then I'll come back, have breakfast, have hour of rest or a couple of hours. Then around 11, 11:30 I'll go back to ground. I'll have a good hit of hour and half, and by 1 I'll again come back to home again. So I'll eat, have good protein, have couple of hours rest again, and around 4:30 I'll again go back to skills and have an hour and a half or hour of skills. And after that I'll definitely complete my day with a good recovery session, which is a swimming pool session, and that is how my day completes in off season.
Now during off season, you can focus on high impact activities. In fact, you should focus on high impact activities. There are no matches to play, so you have ample amount of time for recovery. Let's talk about one important aspect, that is your strength and power generation. While strength is the ability to exert force, power is an ability to exert force rapidly. Power is a product of speed and strength together. So when you're hitting a 6 or you're jumping high to catch a ball, you need that explosive strength, which is power. High impact plyometric exercises like jumping squats, vertical jumps, box jumps, these help you to work on your power. But don't forget that strength is a basic requirement for your power generation. So high intensity strength training becomes mandatory during your off season.
Regarding supplements, there are two categories. One that helps boost performance like caffeine, creatine, arginine, beta-alanine and the pre-workout supplements. The other category is the one that boosts metabolism, for example BCAAs, glutamine and leucine. What you need to take depends on the level of training, your individual needs and the budget of course. Now dietary supplement safety is not regulated by the FDA. Sometimes the label information, quality and quantity of the substance may also be incorrect. The World Anti-Doping Agency or WADA controls and establishes the banned substances list, which is updated every year. Now each country has its own affiliated agency. For example, in India we have NADA. A qualified expert can guide you with the supplementation that is compliant with this banned list. And lastly, talking about the post-season, this is the period of active rest. Here the diet can be relaxed for a very short period based on the training program. This is planned carefully to make sure that there is no fat gain. Too much fat gain during this time will affect your next preparatory phase.
During the season, my training day would be like I'll put as a very maintenance kind of work where I need to understand what my body requires, and that is how I'll put it. If I need a little bit of running or a little bit of strength work, depending on how I'm feeling. But during the matches, I'll definitely put more focus on skills than fitness. It is all about skills and recovery and maintenance during the matches.
Now, during season, you will be more occupied with your matches. And yes, playing matches can be tiring. So depending on what is your match schedule, you're going to plan your fitness routine. It's very important for a player to understand that we have to avoid overuse of muscles, because overtraining can also lead to injuries. More stress has to be given to your functional training. Say for example, a bowler will target rotator cuff muscle strengthening. And we also have to choose exercises very smartly. So we train every body part but in a functional way. Remember, we are going to avoid high impact exercises or high intensity exercises, because these high impact activities lead to a lot of fatigue and soreness, and it may affect performance during matches. Now talking about your endurance training, that will continue, and this is going to continue to maintain your aerobic capacity. So to sum up, when you're planning your fitness session during season, maintenance of fitness is going to be the target.
Let's talk about nutrition during in-season. Let's understand the energy systems or the fuel used during the game. Different fuels, for example carbohydrates, protein and fat, are used based on the intensity and duration of an activity. When you move from a high intensity to low intensity activity, the fuels shift from stored creatine in the muscles to carbohydrates to protein and lastly to fat. Cricket is a sport that requires endurance, strength and power, so multiple fuels are being used. So during the matches, the target is to maintain the performance and recovery throughout the match. During matches, the plan changes according to the schedule. Here we keep in mind the number of matches played in the day, the rest periods, intervals, the hydration, the digestion, the energy levels and availability of the food where the matches are being played. We have to make sure that the athlete has good energy levels in the second half of the day, where a large meal or say for example fatigue can cause drowsiness and drop in performance, especially in hot weather. Speaking of hot weather, let's speak about hydration. Now, dehydration causes a drop in performance, cramps, and lethargy. What is dehydration? It's excess sweating causing loss of fluids and salts. A simple method for estimating hydration is measuring your body weight from pre to post workout. Remember, you should not start exercising in a dehydrated state. Urine color may be dark at this time, so you need to drink more water. You should consume adequate foods and fluids as well as sodium and potassium and other electrolytes to restore the hydration. Again, the amount depends on the time period before your next match or training. Post match, the focus is recovery. So, the player is ready to go back to the field the next day. The athlete has to plan very well in advance for matches played outstation.
My thought process, especially when I'm entering ground for a game or any big match, I try to keep it simple. I've already mentioned that I always had self-belief in me, and many of my friends and few of my coaches also have always mentioned that your game and your batting is all about belief, that you hardly move any feet, but it is all about how much belief you have in your hands and on your eye, and how you back yourself, and obviously the courageous decision you take, thinking of team's priority always. That is what makes you a cricketer you are. So my process is always, I try to keep it simple and not worrying about the result. If I do the things which are demanded from my team at that particular moment, I'll be more than successful than most of the careers and players, since I am doing it for the team. And since it's a team game, if you have the right thought process, which is playing for the team every ball, and what is your team's goals, if you're playing towards that, you will definitely succeed. Injuries are part and parcel of any athlete's career. I am none different than them. So I had many injuries throughout my career, but hamstring injury was one of the major injuries I had. I think I struggled almost for 8 or 9 months. For 3 to 4 times I got injured for the same hamstring left. So I think during that time it is really frustrating, because I was playing well, I was playing for India. Every time I was having a good knock, I used to get injured immediately. So the momentum I couldn't cash in. So it was definitely frustrating, but the passion I had in me and the belief I had to play for India, and if you have that, you will overcome most of the injuries in your life. But definitely I will try to say this, that in this injury phase, I always believed that no matter what happens, I am going to get better out of this injury, and I'll only get better after this injury. That is how I put it, and how I consistently worked on my rehab. I was very sincere during my rehab. I listened to every word physio said, and I was honest to the physios. I never hide anything, and I was honest to them, and that is how they can give you their best knowledge and get you out of that injury correctly and make a better athlete.
The biggest mistake that usually seen is player ignoring the injury. Small niggle might turn into bigger injury if it's ignored. So player has to analyze whether it's just a muscle soreness, or it's a body ache due to fatigue, or it's a pain due to injury. Pain is a very clear-cut sign that something is going wrong, and it's very important to consult an expert at this time. Don't take painkillers, or don't self-medicate, or don't take any medications without a prescription. Now, talking about injuries, there are two types of injuries. Those which can be prevented, something like overuse injuries, and those which cannot be prevented because they come unexpectedly, something like twisting your ankle while you're running, or landing on your shoulder while you're fielding. So the later part requires rehabilitation. So don't hesitate to report your pain or discomfort to physio or a doctor. In prevention of injuries, player and a physio both are going to play equally important role. A player can make sure all his fitness components are up to the mark, and a physiotherapist will guide you with the missing components. We have commonly seen that cricketers suffering from injuries like rotator cuff tear or a side strain, hamstring injury or back pain. Here the physical assessment can help a player to analyze the weaknesses and abnormalities. And physiotherapists can prescribe a very specific exercise to overcome these issues. This helps in two ways: prevention of injuries and also in enhancement of your performance.
Tackling injuries. Nutrition plays a very important role when you are injured. Adequate protein and other supplements are needed for rebuilding your damaged tissue. The activity levels also change, and so the diet needs to be adjusted accordingly. One common mistake athletes make is not taking enough protein due to less exercise or activity. Remember, there is deconditioning and some loss of muscle depending on the extent of injury, duration of rest and the treatment. So for example, surgery. We have to minimize the catabolism, or in simple terms, the muscle loss. Sometimes athletes end up eating more than needed and then they end up gaining fat. That has to be kept in mind too, so that the diet during rehab is very important.
It is very hard mentally, especially, to come back from injury and play again for whatever team you have been playing for. It challenges mental strength, patience, discipline, lifestyle. So these are the 4 aspects if you try to follow in your injury phase, and even if during your career. I think most of you people will be successful in your own careers. So mental strength, patience, discipline and lifestyle. So these are the 4 aspects had definitely helped me to come out of injuries and make a good strong comeback.
Time period during recovery from the injury, I think that's the most challenging time for a player. There are so many questions running through players' mind. Players think about, when will I get to play, or will I be 100% okay to go and play out there? So the answer is yes. If you're following all the instructions during rehabilitation, you don't have to worry about anything. In fact, the focus at this particular crucial time has to be on your rehabilitation, because poor recovery and if you're returning to a game unprepared, that's more dangerous than anything. And if your body is not prepared to go and play there, the chances of re-injury are higher. We all know mentally player wants to be there on the ground and playing for the team, but don't risk it. You don't risk it unless you have a green signal from your physiotherapist or your doctor.
Talking about the mental preparation during matches after injuries, I think the mental game has to be very strong right from the day you decide to become an athlete. Few aspects that need attention are focus and discipline during and off the field, performance anxiety issues, eating disorders, making a comeback after injuries, maybe after losing crucial matches. A lot of us do have an inherent coping mechanism, but sometimes, despite all the support, we tend to fall short. At such times, I feel a sports psychologist can definitely help you bounce back and regain the lost confidence.
Always believe in yourself. Never let anybody put you down. Always back yourself. Work very hard. Be disciplined. Choose your lifestyle. Choose your decisions definitely when you are in under pressure, cause under pressure you tend to have two decisions there. Whichever is the right decision, it might be tough to take, but definitely it will make you a better athlete and better person. And never be afraid of failure. Never be afraid of failure.
Players have so much of emotional connect with the game that every player wants to continue playing for as many years as possible. With growing age, though you might get better with your skills, the physical fitness starts deteriorating. With increasing age, your muscles undergo atrophy. So, in very simple words, there is going to be a muscle loss. It's very important for every player to maintain your muscle mass and ultimately your level of fitness to extend your cricketing career for as long as possible, and that too with least injuries. If you manage to achieve this, you're bound to get good results in the game for as long as you're going to play. So my message to all cricketers is going to be, follow the process very sincerely and you will definitely see the results.
My message to all cricketers is that you are already excelling in a sport that you're genetically gifted for. If you want to maximize this potential, then you need a good balance of nutrition, training, mental health conditioning, and recovery. For children who want to do well, the message to parents is that please start early, because with a good program, it will help in the optimal outcomes, which include their cognitive health, where they have to perform in their studies, meeting the demands of growth and development, and meeting the demands of the sport.